The most powerful place you can be is in your center. When you're in your center, nothing that happens in the external world can affect your internal state, your peace of mind, your frequency. I want to start this by reading a quote from a book called the Tao Te Ching. You can see my edition is really tattered. I've had this for a while. I bring it everywhere with me. And it's verse 29. It says, "There's a time for being ahead. There's a time for being behind. A time for being in motion. A time for being at rest. A time for being vigorous. A time for being exhausted. A time for being safe. A time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle." Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to stay at the center of the circle? What does it mean to stay in your center? We can understand what it means to stay at your center by understanding what it doesn't mean and what it means to be pulled out of your center. So most people unconsciously exist in a state where they're constantly pulled in a million different directions by the outside world. They see a text message on their phone and it pulls them into the emotion of anger. They see an email from their boss and they're pulled fully into the emotion of anxiety. They see a bill hit their credit card statement and they're instantly pulled into the emotion of stress. So if our center is emotional neutrality, anything in the outside world, any problem, any situation, any person, any circumstance that pulls us into an emotional reaction, an emotional response, is pulling us away from our center. This kind of ties into an idea of Stoicism, right? What is Stoicism all about? It's about emotional neutrality. It's about emotional control and not letting anything external impact your internal state. So what would it look like to stay in your center in those same situations? It would mean you move through life with a certain calmness about you. You move with a certain presence. You move with a certain peace. You see the credit card statement hit and you just observe it as if it was just something happening. It's just there. It just happens to be a number on the screen. You see an email from your boss, your teacher, your professor. Instead of being pulled into stress, you realize that you are not that. Your center is your spirit. Your center is infinite. Your center is your center of autonomy and self-control. And you notice the email. You look at it objectively. If any emotions arise, you let them rise and you let them pass through you as you observe them. And then you just go about completing the action from the place of centeredness, right? Being enlightened or being in your center or having emotional control doesn't mean you don't do things you don't want to do. It doesn't mean you ignore the credit card statement. It doesn't mean you ignore the email or don't do the task that you need to do. It means you complete them from a place of calm neutrality without excessive importance placed onto it. And from that place of calm neutrality, not only are you going to get the thing done without all this cascade of emotions that are going to overtake you, but you'll probably get it done easier, you'll get it done faster, and you'll perform better. So in all of life, how can you stay in your center? It's easy. This is a short video. It's not complicated. The first and most important thing is meditation. Not in the meditation sense of like you need to sit with your legs crossed and like do some chant and have mudras and hand postures, but sitting with yourself in stillness, sitting with yourself in silence. How often in the modern world do we do this? Not very often. Our ancestors would have done it all the time. They would have been sitting outside staring at the moon. They would have been sitting outside staring at the sunset, right? Because there weren't all these distractions. There wasn't TikTok, there wasn't ESPN, there wasn't all this stuff pulling them constantly into other people's lives and stimulation. So we have to retain that. We have to reclaim that part of ourselves, the part of us that can be still, that can be bored, that can sit in solitude, that can contemplate. Because sitting in that calm center, learning to sit in that calm center will then translate into every area of your life. Ideally, you meditate in the morning, you meditate in the middle of the day, and you meditate at night. You meditate in the morning to find your center, and then as you go about completing your work or completing your tasks for the day, you have already found that center, you've connected to it, and you stay there throughout the day. Middle of the day, all these things are arising, stress, emotions, things to do, worries, concerns. come back to your center. Take 5 minutes, sit in your car, sit still. Sit outside on a bench, sit still for a few minutes. People might think you're weird, but this is your life. It doesn't matter what they think. And at night, meditate, find that center, go to sleep in a calm place, wake up in that centered state. You should ideally be in your center all the time. Of course, you're going to get pulled into different things. That's being human, but this is why it's a practice. This is why it's the practice of meditation. Now, it's not only meditation that will help you stay in your center. Breathing, not just doing intentional breath work, which is good for this too, but connecting to the breath throughout the day. The breath is your anchor. It's your anchor point to the present moment. And so if you can stay connected to your breath all throughout the day, that email hits your phone, that coach yells at you, that boss tells you to do something you don't want to do, instead of being pulled into it, you found your center through meditation, so you're calmer and more neutral. And then when the moment arises, you simply breathe deeply and you're right back in your center. So those two things, meditation, a few times a day, it doesn't have to be super long. You'll start to actually become interested in it and obsessed with it because it becomes very fun, and you start to notice the subtle ways it improves your life, your decision making, your intuition, your emotional control, your ability to stay neutral, your ability to see clearly, right? You can't see clearly when you're not in your center. When you're in your center, you can see the whole landscape. You can see things before they happen. And then the breath is the anchor point for you to stay in that center. So meditate, breathe. It's very simple advice. It's not any magic trick, but if you can learn to live life in your center, nothing in the external world can impact you. Nobody yelling at you matters. No external situation matters. There aren't even problems anymore. There are simply circumstances happening. That's a whole nother topic, but there's really no such thing as a problem. There's just a circumstance that you happen to be attached to. So find your center, stay in your center, and live from that center, and it's going to increase your power, it's going to increase your aura, it's going to increase your decision making, it's going to increase your intuition, and every area of your life is going to benefit from staying in your center. Your health will benefit, how you approach relationships, how you approach girls or guys is going to change if you are able to be in your center. You don't have to overextend, you don't have to be anxious about what people think of you because you have found that within yourself. That's the key. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.